Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I have another video for you guys today. My name is Tin Ju, currently a first year resident at family medicine program in California. And I've been MIA for the last 3 months just because of residency. It's hectic. I just posting on, Instagram reels. So you guys haven't yet, follow me on Instagram. I have some pretty funny, I think, skit reels on there that I think you would like. And I also post stories and kind of update my life through my Instagram. So you guys want to follow along, with my progress in residency, make sure you guys follow me on Instagram. Today, I want to talk to you guys about what I wish I knew when I was making my rank list. I know I've been trying to I have this in the back burner on my Google Doc for talking for a while now. Hopefully, I can put this video out before you guys finally submit and finalize your rank list. Hopefully before March 1st. But these are some things I wish I knew to prioritize when I was making my rank list, choosing which program I wanted to go to, and just some nuggets I hope that I went through, and hopefully they'll be helpful to some of you guys who's applying this cycle or the upcoming cycle. So let's get into it. All right, so these I'm going to talk about based on the importance uh, of how I rank it, how I chose the program. So first thing first, for me was location. So when you just pick a program, you gotta pick a place that you think is gonna be that you can see yourself, living there for the next at least 3 years of the rest of residency, and that you can have support from family and friends. Um, Maybe this program is really nice all across the state, across the country. And it's a really prestigious program versus this one is closer to home. Maybe 30-minute hour drive from family and friends, but it's not as prestigious. You know, I personally would want to choose to the one that's closer to home, just so you can get support. If you get homesick and on your golden weekends and your weekend vacation that you get off, you can go back home, visit your families, hang out with your friends at least a few times, a year, rather than being across the country, being all by yourself. Even though you have residents, co-residents to be hanging out with, but there's gonna be time you'll be really lonely, and it's be helpful to have friends and families around. So I think for me, location was definitely one of my top choice. This is kind of like a deal breaker or not for me. Everything else down the list was even though everything else better, but the location wise wasn't very advantageous or very favorable, then I would kind of put the rest the other programs below the list for that. So for me, it was California. Any programs California, and then again by miles, like how close it was to my house, how convenient it was. And then this gonna tie the next part kind of tie into this too, because location where you're staying, where you're living, is gonna be what is high cost of living or low cost of living. Um, Maybe you're gonna be at UCSF in San Francisco. The cost of living to be outrageously high. It's gonna be super expensive. Maybe more than half of your salary might have to go towards rent or something. So something that ties into location that you guys gotta think about too is that. Second, so the next thing that I look for that was on my list for my when I was making the rank list is salary. So what I wish I knew was that, okay, so let me take this back. It's not necessarily, I was thinking, I was literally looking into the salary. I was kind of rank it high because oh yeah, I want to make money and be able to afford rent and help my family and wife out. But I actually come to learn that it actually should be a little bit lower on your list. I want to talk about it secondly because this is how I was basing it on. But you gotta realize the fact of salary is that most of the residency programs that you get into, your salaries can range probably be around the same thing, 55,000 to maybe 60, 65,000. That's just higher end range for residency, maybe 65,000 that I saw. And you might get some benefits, some bonuses on the side, but that's pretty much it. Most of it is pretty much the same across the board. And you compare, 55 versus $60,000 a year. That's like $500 a month. Like, I don't think it's worth to sacrifice everything else just for the extra $500 a month. If you like locations and opportunities and patient loads and everything else, when you take into considerations. Also, the number that you see listed on the salary is not the end all be all, because you gotta look into like bonuses that they give you also. So for instance, my current program, this is not like throwing shades on them or anything. This is just something that they did this year, that I want to point out to you guys. So let's say usually you have like like food voucher or like lunch credit like built into your salary, and then you have educational fee that you can get reimbursement for, um like housing stipends and it's like things like that. So any kind of bonuses on the side. A lot of the time, if these places they kind of list it, so some places will have your salary listed, and then you also get all of these bonuses on the side. You get free meal with the hospital. You get like a certain amount of like monthly housing stipends, or you get this certain amount of money that goes towards like board studying and buying like resources, like $1,200 a year or something. Excuse me. But then some places gonna have like a higher listed salary price, like 65, 60, $65,000. But that when it actually combines everything into that 60, $65,000 base salary. So let's say for instance, like my program, I think last year, I could be wrong. I think last year, I think the starting salary base was like 57,000, like 58,000 or something. But then on top of the base salary, you were getting, meal like credits that you can eat at the hospital. You can get educational stipends. So that's all separate from the base salary. And then this year, the listed base salary is like 60,000 or like 62. I think $60,000 base salary. But that's kind of. But now they're not giving us those reimbursement aside anymore. That all goes towards our check every month. So let's say that 200 credit, like let's say $200 credit, like a month for food or something, it just get added onto our monthly paycheck. So instead of being its own category, it just go towards our our wages, our income. So technically, it's not really a $2,000 increase compared to last year because it just listed as like a higher like price, but it's just because of the benefits that I bundle in. So my point is that like the salary number, usually you really picky about it, make sure you look into those things too. Um, so I would say rank the salary thing towards the bottom of your list. I don't think it's that important. You're still gonna get paid. Next part I want to talk about is gonna be opposed versus unopposed program, because this is something that I was kind of like, I knew what it was, I knew what it means, but there are some caveats that I didn't really understand until I actually got into residency. And this is gonna tie into the next one I want to talk about. So I'm just talk about them all together. So opposed versus unopposed, and then community program versus academic programs. So opposed program, you guys don't know, opposed program means that besides, and just keep in mind I'm a family medicine resident, so this might be a little bit different for other residency. So opposed program means that you have other residents see programs at the same hospital that's working with you, versus unopposed is where family medicine residents are the only one at the hospital. So my program currently is considered a post program because we also have internal medicine residency that we work together with. We have surgery, we have OB-GYN, we have emergency medicine residency, all within the same hospital. And we rotate through when we rotate through, we all see each other, we work together. I work with other residents from the other programs, and it's all been great. So that's opposed. And unopposed is where you literally just the family medicine program, they're running the whole hospital. They're on call all the time. They take in patients. They do like delivery babies. They work with the surgeons when they're on the surgery rotations, everything like that. They are the only residents in the hospital. So that's the unopposed program. The basic thing that you gotta know is that if you're an unopposed program, you don't have to like compete for procedures. You get to do everything. You don't have to compete with other residents for procedures and opportunities and like patients and everything like that. Like personally, I see that there is a disadvantage of being on a post programs where you have to like when I'm on my surgery rotation, there are surgery residents who's gonna be scrubbing into the OR and doing a lot of the surgeries because they need to learn and they gotta get their surgeries cases in so they can graduate. So when there's like trauma, like emergency surgery that comes, and we're on call, and yeah, we get to scrub in with the surgeons and we get to do some cases. But most of the time, we just kind of help manage the floor with pre-op, post-op patients. So we don't really do that much surgery when we are actually on surgery. So that's something that you might not like because you have to be competing with other residents for like procedures. Same thing like with like let's say internal medicine residents, they're gonna be we're gonna be splitting like thoracentesis or like doing central lines. All these procedures that we had to fight with, not necessarily fight, but like we split because we split the patient too with like internal medicine residents and like ED residents. Versus if you're on a post program, you get to do everything. If anyone need a thoracentesis, you the only residents there, you're gonna be the one doing it. Fluorocentesis, putting central line, you're gonna be the one doing it. So that's the advantage and disadvantage of the two. The thing is that most of the time, so this is something that I learned when I started residency that I didn't know about when I applied was that usually unopposed programs are usually in like a smaller hospital, more rural area. They don't have as much funding to. And this is all generalization, right? Like there's obvious like exceptions to these to what I'm saying, but in general, it's a smaller area, smaller hospital, smaller patient populations. So even though you don't have a lot of all these other residents to compete with, your patient's population might not be as diverse. You might not see as many cases, depending on how rural it is. You might not have as much resources. My program is actually a community program, but it is opposed, so it's a little bit bigger. So this is what one I want to talk about community versus academic too, is that usually I chose community program specifically because you are going to get a lot of like pretty sick patients. A lot of these patients, they don't have healthcare. They have very good healthcare. A lot of them can be like drug addict, don't really take care of themselves. So you're going to see these pathologies that you're not going to generally see in the healthier populations. And then usually at least for my community hospital program, is you get a big, you're not worried about numbers of patients that you have to see. Like you for sure going to meet the number of patients you see that you need for graduation. Compared to let's say you in like community program unopposed, that's kind of like a bit more rural area, then like you might have a lower census of patients that you're not gonna. And there's people I think especially the COVID pandemic where they might not get enough patient load, the patient census so they can see, and actually not as many wide variety of pathologies that they might get. And this is the benefit of an academic hospital is that generally people think of them as more resources. You get access to a lot more specialists. You get to higher tech equipments. You get more funding. And usually the rural area will send really sick and weird cases to the bigger academic centers. They can be bigger. So they get to see all these like really cool cases that you can write case reports on and good learning opportunity. So usually unopposed and community hospital go hand in hand. More rural area and opposed and academic programs kind of go hand in hand. That's usually how people differentiate it. So that's something I wish I knew. At first, I was like, oh, my program is not opposed, so I'm going to be fighting of all these procedures and stuff. But that wasn't actually the case. I still get to see a bunch of patients. I still get pretty good amount of procedure I need to do. The good thing about being in a post program and you have a bigger number of residents, you don't have to do as much calls. The call schedule is not as strict and restrictive because if you're an unopposed program, you guys are the only residents on there and you guys have a smaller class. You guys going to be on call like every other 3 days, every other 2 days, or whatever, because they need you guys to run the hospital. So that's something to also think about. That's what I have for you guys. Hopefully you guys find that helpful as you make your rank list. If it, help at all, give me a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments any tips and tricks that you guys have. Put in the comments to help your fellow classmate and friends out. And good luck with the rest of the match season, guys. I hope everyone match into their dream specialty and ideally the top 5 of your location that you guys picked of the program. You guys gonna be great doctors. If I made it, then all you guys gonna make it. So God bless, and until next time, it's your boy Tim.